I've learned something in my life. People are always watching you. Some are rooting for you, some are doubting you, and some are just waiting to see you fail. But let me tell you this, if you spend your time trying to please everybody else, you'll lose yourself. The real victory comes when you decide to focus on you. When you wake up every morning and say, I don't care who believes in me, I'm going to believe in myself. Because the day you stop chasing validation and start working on your own gift, that's the day you shock everyone. Not because you talked about it, not because you tried to prove them wrong, but because your discipline, your faith, and your focus made you unstoppable. When I think back to the foundation of everything I've been able to accomplish, it all starts with self-discipline. People see the end result, the awards, the roles, the speeches, the applause, but they don't see the hours, the sacrifices, the nights when I was tired, but pushed anyway. They don't see the mornings when it would have been easier to hit snooze, when it would have been easier to give in to excuses. The truth is, talent might get you noticed, but it won't keep you there. Discipline is the quiet strength that nobody claps for, but everybody sees when the results show up. That's why I tell people, if you really want to shock the world, stop worrying about the world. Focus on yourself and build discipline into your life like it's oxygen. When I first started out in this business, I was told I wasn't good enough. I was told I didn't fit the mold, that my style, my background, my way of speaking would never make it. Imagine how easy it would have been to believe that, to settle for less, to give up before I even started. But I understood something early on. Discipline means you don't live by other people's opinions. Discipline means you make a decision about who you are and you commit to it day after day. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about keeping promises to yourself when nobody else is watching. There were times when I failed, times when I fell flat on my face, times when the phone didn't ring, when auditions didn't go my way, when doors closed. But discipline kept me going. It reminded me that failure wasn't the end. It was the classroom. Discipline taught me that you can't let emotions control your actions. You can't wait to feel motivated. You can't wait to feel inspired. Some days you've just got to do it because you said you would. And that's what separates those who talk about success from those who live it. People often ask me, how do you stay focused when life gets heavy, when the pressure is real? My answer is simple. You build habits so strong that they carry you when your feelings can't. That's what discipline is. It's waking up to work on your craft, even when nobody's applauding. It's saying no to distractions that look good in the moment, but cost you long term. It's choosing to study when your friends are partying, choosing to rehearse when the easy choice is to relax. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't get headlines. But the results it produces, they shock everybody. See, the world doesn't need to hear what you're going to do. They don't need another promise, another plan, another resolution. What they need is to see the fruit of your discipline. When you're disciplined, you don't even have to announce it. People will look at you and wonder how you keep moving forward, how you keep getting stronger, how you keep showing up with energy and excellence. And the truth is, it's not magic. It's not luck. It's discipline. Every rep in the gym, every page in the book, every quiet prayer, every sacrifice adds up. And before long, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to say, I didn't see it coming. For me, discipline has never been about impressing people. It's been about honoring the gift God gave me. If you're not disciplined, you can waste the very thing you were born with. Talent without discipline is like a car without gas. It looks good, but it's not going anywhere. Discipline fuels your gift. It takes what's inside you and gives it the structure to become something greater than you imagine. And the beauty of it is, once you discipline yourself, it spills over into every area of your life. You become a better worker, a better parent, a better friend, a better leader, because you learn how to control yourself before life tries to control you. So if you're listening right now, wondering how to make people respect you, how to silence the critics, how to rise above the noise, the answer is simple: don't chase them. Don't argue with them. Don't waste your energy trying to prove them wrong. Focus on you. Master yourself. Build discipline brick by brick until your foundation is unshakable. And when the results of that discipline show up, when your consistency turns into excellence, when your focus turns into mastery, that's when you'll shock everyone. Not because you shouted the loudest, but because you stayed committed the loudest. Not because you tried to prove a point, but because you proved yourself right. That's the power of self-discipline. It's invisible in the moment, but undeniable in the results. And when you live with it long enough, you don't even have to chase success. Success starts chasing you. When I think back on my life, I can tell you one of the most important lessons I ever learned was this: you have to block out the noise and trust your own path. Because let me tell you something, there will always be voices around you, voices telling you what you can't do, what you shouldn't try, what isn't possible. Sometimes those voices come from strangers, sometimes from friends, sometimes from the people you love most. And if you're not careful, if you listen too closely, those voices will bury the dream inside you before it even has a chance to grow. I remember when I was starting out, I heard more no's than I can count. Casting directors would look at me and say, "You're not the right type," or "You don't fit the mold." People would tell me my background was too different, my look wasn't what Hollywood was searching for, that I should think about another career, something more realistic. And you know what? For a moment, you start to believe it. You start asking yourself, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I should play it safe, settle for less, accept what's given to me. But then there's another voice, a smaller, quieter voice deep inside of you that says, "No, I've put something in you. I've given you a gift. Don't let them decide who you are." That voice was the one I had to learn to listen to. See, here's the truth. The noise will never stop. People will doubt you when you're struggling, and they'll doubt you even more when you start to rise. They'll tell you you're dreaming too big, or they'll question why you think you're the one who can make it happen. They'll laugh when you fail, and sometimes they'll even laugh when you succeed, because your success makes them uncomfortable. But the question is, whose voice are you going to believe? The voice of the crowd or the voice inside of you? There were nights I would sit in my room alone, and I had a choice. I could replay the words of every critic, every rejection, every person who told me I wasn't good enough, or I could replay the vision I had of myself doing what I loved, living my dream, fulfilling the purpose I felt burning in my chest. I chose the vision. I chose to believe in the unseen. I chose to focus on my path, even when no one else could see it. And here's the beauty of trusting your own path. It teaches you resilience. Because when you stop living for the approval of others, you stop being shaken by their opinions. You stop letting their doubt define your destiny. You understand that their vision is limited, but your faith, your grind, your focus is limitless. And it doesn't mean the road gets easier. No, in fact, sometimes it gets harder. You stumble, you fall, you question yourself again and again. But because you know you're walking the path that's meant for you, you find the strength to get back up, to push forward, to keep going even when everything in you wants to quit. And then something happens. After years of blocking out the noise, of putting your head down and focusing on your own growth, you start to see the results. The same people who doubted you, who laughed at you, who dismissed you, they start to look at you differently. They start to ask, how did you do it? And that's when you realize you didn't have to shout. You didn't have to prove anything to them. All you had to do was stay true to your path and let your results speak for themselves. But I want you to understand this. You can't walk your path if you're constantly watching someone else's. Too many people waste their energy comparing, scrolling, judging, wishing they had what someone else has. That's noise too. That's distraction. While you're busy watching their journey, you're neglecting your own. And your path is the only one that matters. Your story is the only one you're responsible for. Every step I took, I had to trust that even when I didn't see the whole staircase, I was still climbing higher. I had to trust that the rejections were redirections, that the setbacks were setups for something greater. And every time I tuned out the noise and listened to that inner voice, I got stronger, more focused, more determined. So if you're in a place where the noise feels too loud, where the doubt feels heavier than the dream, I want you to remember this: the crowd doesn't decide your future. The critics don't decide your worth. Your path is yours alone, and only you can walk it. Trust it. Believe in it. And one day, the very people who doubted you will be the ones shocked by how far you've come, not because you listened to them, but because you refused to. When I look back at my journey, I can tell you one truth: talk has never taken anyone to the top. It's easy to talk about dreams. It's easy to tell people what you're going to do. But I learned early on that words without action are nothing but noise. My grind had to speak for me. When I was young, I didn't have much. I didn't have the luxury of guarantees or certainty. I had to show up and put in the work, even when no one was watching, even when no one believed I could do it. The difference between those who succeed and those who fade away is not talent alone. It's the grind, the willingness to do what others won't. I remember audition after audition, walking into rooms full of people who already made their minds up about me. They looked at me and they didn't see what I saw in myself. They didn't see the hunger. They didn't see the fire. And I could have wasted my energy trying to convince them, trying to talk my way into their acceptance. But I realized my job wasn't to convince them with my words. It was to shock them with my work. So I kept working. I kept showing up. I kept preparing as if the opportunity was already mine. And that's when doors started opening, not because I talked about it, but because my preparation spoke louder than anything I could ever say. You see, people will always doubt what you say, but they can't deny what you show. You can tell people you're disciplined, but until you wake up earlier than them, until you stay later than them, until you work through the fatigue, through no rejections, through the nights when no one is clapping for you, they won't believe you. And here's the truth: you don't even need them to believe you. You just need to let your results talk for you. When I was hustling in those early days, I wasn't worried about proving people wrong. I wasn't even worried about recognition. I was worried about sharpening my craft, building my character, because I knew if I focused on that, one day the world would have no choice but to pay attention. Your grind is your evidence. It's your proof. I didn't have to announce that I was hungry. I showed it. I didn't have to tell anyone how badly I wanted it. They could see it in the way I worked, in the way I refused to quit. And even now, with all the blessings and all the success, I understand the grind never stops. You don't get to a point where you can just relax and say, I've made it. No, if anything, the grind has to get stronger because maintaining success is even harder than achieving it. And let me tell you something important. The grind is not glamorous. Social media, the lights, the stage, they'll make you think success is all about the shine, the applause, the recognition. But what really builds success is the time when nobody sees you, when nobody knows the hours you're putting in, the sacrifices, the things you're missing out on, the nights you go to bed exhausted while everyone else is out having fun. That's the grind. And most people aren't willing to pay that price. But if you are, if you're willing to commit to it day after day, when it doesn't feel good, when it's not convenient, when it seems like no progress is happening, that's when you separate yourself. That's when you build something undeniable. I shocked people not because I had more talent than anyone else, but because I was willing to prepare harder, longer, and deeper than anyone else. I understood that opportunity favors the prepared, and every time I walked into a room, every time I stepped onto a stage, I didn't have to explain who I was. They could see it in the work. They could feel the preparation. They could feel the grind and the performance. That's how you shock everyone, not with empty promises, not with talk, but with undeniable execution. So my message is this: stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop announcing your goals to everyone who will listen. Just do it. Put your head down, stay focused, and grind when nobody's clapping. Grind when nobody believes in you. Grind when the results don't come right away. Because when you keep going, when you stay consistent, when you refuse to quit, eventually the world won't be able to ignore you. And when that day comes, when people look at you and say, "Where did this come from?" you'll know the truth. It didn't come from talking. It came from the grind. When I was younger, I used to look around and wonder why some people seemed to get ahead so quickly, why they looked like they were moving faster than me. I would see actors, friends, even strangers, and I would ask myself, am I behind? Am I doing enough? Am I supposed to be where they are? And then I realized something important. Comparison is poison. The moment you start looking at what everyone else is doing, you start losing sight of your own gift. You were not created to be a copy of somebody else. You were created with something special, something unique. And the only way you discover that is by focusing on your own lane. I learned that if you want to shock people, you don't do it by beating them at their own game. You do it by mastering your own. Hollywood is full of competition, full of people chasing the same roles, the same spotlight, the same applause. If I had tried to be like every other actor, I would have disappeared a long time ago. But I knew I had to bring my own fire, my own style, my own truth to the table. That's how you elevate yourself. Not by trying to outshine the next person, but by digging deep and shining from within. It's easy to get caught up in this world of social media, where everybody is showing their best moments, their highlight reels, their success. And if you're not careful, you start to measure your progress against that. You think, they've already made it. Why haven't I? They're already ahead. What's wrong with me? But what you don't see is the process behind their pictures. You don't see the struggle, the failures, the nights they wanted to quit. And you can't see that because their story is not yours. Your journey is written differently. Your timing is not their timing. If you trust that, if you embrace that, you start realizing that your only competition is the person you were yesterday. I remember moments when people doubted me, when they said, maybe you should take another path. Maybe this isn't for you. I could have let that break me. I could have spent my time trying to prove them wrong, trying to be what they expected me to be. But instead, I chose to focus on becoming the best version of myself. I wasn't chasing applause. I wasn't chasing validation. I was chasing growth. Every day, I asked myself, how can I learn more? How can I get sharper? How can I dig deeper into my craft, into my discipline, into my faith? And when you do that consistently, people start to notice. They start asking, how are you doing it? How are you moving forward? How are you staying strong? And the truth is simple, because I wasn't watching them, I was watching me. When you elevate yourself, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to tell the world, look at me, I'm getting better. Your growth will speak for itself. Your progress will show up in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. People will feel it before you even say a word. That's the kind of shock that lasts. It's not loud, it's not forced, it's undeniable. But elevating yourself takes patience. It takes sacrifice. It means turning down distractions. It means staying focused when everyone else is playing games. It means putting in the work when no one is clapping for you. It means saying no to the easy road and yes to the hard one, because you know the hard road leads to real growth. And let me tell you, when you do that, when you keep building yourself up brick by brick, one day you'll look back and realize that you've risen so high that those same people you used to compare yourself to are now looking up at you, wondering how you did it. You shock them not because you tried to compete with them, but because you refused to. You shock them because while they were busy trying to outdo each other, you were busy outgrowing yourself. And that's the secret. Every day, ask yourself, how can I be better than I was yesterday? If you live by that, nobody can stop you. Your success won't be measured by comparison. It will be measured by transformation. And when that transformation shows up, when people see how far you've come, they'll be left with no choice but to respect it. Because you didn't chase them. You elevated yourself. When I look back at my life and my journey, I realized something very important. Most of the work that shaped me, most of the strength that carried me, was built in silence. Not in the spotlight, not when the applause was loud, not when the cameras were rolling, but in those quiet hours when nobody was paying attention. People see the finished product, the movies, the awards, the speeches, the recognition, but what they don't see is the grind behind it. The nights of doubt, the mornings of discipline, the hours of repetition. Greatness isn't born when the world is watching. It's born when you are alone, when you've got nothing but your own determination and faith holding you up. I had to learn that success is not about making noise, it's about making impact. And impact doesn't come instantly. It takes patience, humility, and a lot of silent work. I remember early in my career, I didn't have all the answers. I didn't always know where the next opportunity would come from. I faced rejection. I faced disappointment. I faced people who told me, no, you can't. But in those moments, I didn't run to the crowd looking for comfort or validation. I went back to myself. I went back to prayer. I went back to preparation. Because I understood that if I kept building in silence, if I kept sharpening my tools when nobody was watching, one day the world would have no choice but to hear the sound of my results. See, we live in a time where everybody wants to broadcast everything. Everyone wants to show the process before it's even complete. They want to prove to the world that they're working, that they're grinding, that they're making moves. But I've learned something. The strongest roots grow underground. They're hidden. You can't see them, but they're holding the tree up. That's the same with your life. The work you do in private, the sacrifices you make when no one is clapping for you, that's what will hold you up when it's time for you to stand tall. There were years in my life where I was sowing seeds that nobody else could see, roles that didn't pay much, opportunities that seemed small, lessons that I had to take on even when I didn't feel ready. But I kept moving, I kept learning, I kept sharpening myself because I believed that my time would come. And when it did, people thought it happened overnight. They thought it was sudden. They thought it was luck. But no, what they saw was the fruit of silent labor, years of unseen commitment, nights when I chose work over distraction, mornings when I chose prayer over doubt, seasons when I chose growth over comfort. And let me tell you something, that's when you shock people. Not because you screamed the loudest, not because you demanded recognition, but because you stayed faithful to the process. Your legacy isn't built in the noise. It's revealed through impact you create after years of staying the course. When people finally see you standing strong, delivering excellence, walking your purpose, they think, how did this happen? And the truth is, it didn't just happen. You were preparing for it long before they noticed. So I say this, don't get discouraged when nobody is clapping for you. Don't get discouraged when your progress feels invisible. The silence is your training ground. The silence is your foundation. It's where you develop the kind of strength that doesn't crumble when the world starts watching. Because when the lights finally turn on, when the doors open, when the opportunities come, you won't just be ready, you'll be undeniable. And that's the key to shocking everyone. Not with words, not with noise, not with desperate cries for attention, but with undeniable impact. With results so strong, with a spirit so grounded, with a gift so sharpened, that the world can't ignore you. That is how legacies are built. Not in the noise, but in the silence. And I am living proof of that truth.